This whole controversy about what Chamath Palihapitiya said over the weekend is having some unintended consequences. In case you didn't know, or in case you missed my video that I did on this yesterday, over the weekend, Chamath Palihapitiya said that no one cares about the Uyghur Muslims in China. Now, I don't want to say that I came to his defense yesterday. I think there were some people who took it that way. That was not the case. I was not coming to the defense of Chamath Palihapitiya. I did, however, commend him for his honesty. Being honest doesn't mean that I agree with him or he's right, doesn't mean he's telling the truth, but he did tell the truth from his perspective. Honesty is something that is badly missing in the modern media. Authenticity, same thing. The NBA has been criticized by some of us for years now for basically ignoring the atrocities taking place in China. All Chamath Palihapitiya did with his comments, he confirmed what we already knew. The NBA does not care about what's happening to Muslims over in China. Now, you can disagree with what he said. You can hate how brutal he was when he said it, but at least he said it. At least he had the courage to keep it real with us. We don't get that from LeBron James. We don't get that from Adam Silver. They were quick to jump all over Daryl Morey for supporting people fighting for freedom in Hong Kong. LeBron, he is quick to discredit Enes Kanter for using his voice to bring awareness to this issue. But when they're asked about what's going on over in China, they pretend nothing is wrong. There are Muslims in China? This is the first I've heard of this. I thought only Chinese people lived in China. The other culprit who continues to ignore the human rights violations in China is the majority of the mainstream sports media. Now, credit to both Outkick and Mediaite for doing the research for this story. Let's go all the way back to the summer of 2020 for just a second. If you turned on ESPN that summer, you wouldn't have saw stories about Major League Baseball. You wouldn't see talking heads hyping up the NBA bubble that started in August. ESPN dedicated the entire summer to promoting social justice. For months, all we heard about on ESPN were these supposed human rights violations in America. Cops are racist. The system is racist. All white men are racist, unless they work here at ESPN. Stephen A. Smith went from being a somewhat respected NBA analyst and reporter to being the world's highest paid parrot. Every day on Woke Take, he was forced to go into a medium that he was clearly out of his league, the world of politics. The propaganda on ESPN was relentless. They aired that special on racism that about 200,000 people watched. It didn't matter how low the ratings went. The NBA playoffs, the NBA finals that year set record low ratings, but it didn't matter because the ends justified the means. The message of the agenda, it was more important than television ratings. It was more important than advertisers who also lined up to join Club Woke so they wouldn't receive a low ESG score. Ratings for Woke Take plummeted to the point they eventually kicked Max Kellerman off the show. They blamed him for the low ratings. The promotion of the bullshit has happened at ESPN ever since. This is a network that goes out of their way to find a story about human rights violations as long as it fits their agenda. The hypocrisy is real. The Chamath Palihapitiya story, it has been in the news cycle for over 24 hours now. We have had multiple airings of SportsCenter in that time. Woke Take, all the NBA shows featuring Jalen Rose, whose favorite pastime is crying about human rights. All this time has passed. Chamath Palihapitiya has been all over the internet, all over television for the first time in his life. You know how many times ESPN has mentioned this story? You know how many segments, how many minutes they have dedicated to this story? According to the media monitoring service TV Eyes, this story has dominated the airwaves at ESPN for a total of 0.0 seconds. 0.0. I'm a little bit confused here. I thought this was the network that was all about more than sports. We are more than sports. ESPN, Stephen A. Smith, they're always claiming guys like LeBron James are more than an athlete, more than basketball players. These men are influential, damn it. They won't shut up about all these human rights violations here in America, which I still haven't been able to find one. Do you know anyone in America that was forced into slavery by the government? I don't. Do you know anyone that's been oppressed by the government? I don't. Neither does Stephen A. Smith. He doesn't know any victims of oppression. What constitutes a human rights violation at ESPN is a police officer shooting someone that's going for a knife. What constitutes a human rights violation for LeBron James is a white cop saving the life of a black teenage girl. When it comes to real human rights violations in China, the silence continues. And it's not just with ESPN. I have yet to see a statement from the NBA condemning Chamath Palihapitiya for what he said. Now just think about that for a second. I know the Warriors released a statement, but there has been nothing from the NBA front office. But just think about that. Let's say that you own a company. You have 10 executives at this company. One of these executives, they publicly state that no one cares about what's happening to Muslims over in China. Your company already has a reputation for ignoring the blatant human rights violations. What do? What do you do? Do you come out publicly, distance yourself from these comments, or do you sit on your ass and do nothing? Adam Silver, the NBA front office, so far, they're going with option B. Well, KC, the Warriors released a statement. It's not Adam Silver's place to say anything about the co-owner of a team. Bullshit. That is bullshit. 2 years ago, Adam Silver was quick to speak out against Daryl Morey, and he's a GM. He's not even an owner, he's a GM. But see, condemning Daryl Morey fit the narrative. His prince, LeBron James, had already spoken out against him. And Adam Silver's daddy, Xi Jinping, he would have punished him if he didn't defend him. When it comes to a story like this, that falls outside the purview of the agenda, falls outside the narrative, ESPN and the NBA follow the predictable strategy of silence being the best option. But just because you remain silent on something, it doesn't mean your opinion goes unnoticed. It's actually worse, because then you have people like me, people like Clay Travis. We speculate and form your opinion for you. Now, to be fair, ESPN's not the only news network that's been silent on this story. Their friends over at MSNBC, they've also failed to mention it. CNN did a quick story on it. Of course, Deadspin, they haven't mentioned it either, but who the hell cares? I'm the only reader Deadspin has left, and that's only because they supply me with endless ideas for content. But I hold ESPN to a different standard. Even though they are a glorified propaganda machine, ESPN is supposed to be a sports network. MSNBC, they don't cover sports. And it doesn't get more sports related than a 10% owner of one of the most popular teams in the NBA making controversial comments. But as we all know, journalism is no longer a requirement at ESPN. The qualifications have changed. Gone are the days when they hired journalists who search for the truth. Now, to get a job at ESPN, you have to meet their standards. You must be minority. And I'm not talking about race either. I'm talking about any kind of minority protected class. You must be a social justice warrior. You must take direction well, because you are not going to be allowed to formulate your own opinion. And last but not least, you must be willing to sell your integrity for money. If you work at ESPN, that's basically what you're doing. You're selling your integrity for $1. All right, let me know what you guys think of ESPN completely ignoring this story. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.